All right. Flipping the quarterback was fun, but now is it time to panic?
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. And thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining me as he does on every Charlie Tuesday is Auburn message board legend, the Kyle Rush, also known as Charlie 5. He's the man over at the barn, auburn.com. Who would you take to SEC Media Days? We have that conversation later in the show. Can Auburn hold on to some of its top guys? I think there's two in particular that are worth asking the question on, just reading through some of the tea leaves. But I haven't talked to you yet, Kyle, since Auburn flipped Peyton Falzone, the 4-star quarterback from Penn State. And, you know, for that moment until now, like, it does feel like Auburn recruiting for the first time in a few months is starting to trend in the right direction.
Well, I thought so too at the time.
The
time. And I thought, maybe they can pick up some momentum. But, shortly after that, Auburn loses Claude Impuma to Nebraska. I think he committed. We're recording this on Monday. He committed today.
Yeah.
And then it seems like Auburn's very close to losing. It seems like it's only a matter of time now that Denarius Gray is probably going to be headed on the way out. So
right, I thought we were going to bug for a second about the flip and then talk about that stuff, but we can do this first.
I know. I mean, I do think
Denarius Gray, and then like Tennessee feels good about Hezekiah Harris, and like those two guys, like that would be devastating. That would be like, there's no other way to sugarcoat it. That would be devastating.
Yeah, I mean, especially Hezekiah Harris. He's right now, I guess. Technically, I don't. Gray's not all the way official upon recording this, so he would be the longest tenured commit. But right after that would be Hezekiah Harris, and he's your top ranked player in the whole class. He's a in-state player, a top 7 in this. I think he's number 7 in the state.
Yeah,
depending on which service you look at. So it's just a weird time, and I don't really know. Where to really put, I don't really know where to go. Like, as far as, I don't know which way, which direction do we go in? Is it something that can be fixed with winning, or is it something more malignant? I can't really make up my mind yet which one it is.
Yeah, it's so different than what we've seen for the past few years. And all of, the comments are, you got to win. You got to win. And I just don't think that's it, because you're losing guys to FSU, and the argument is, oh well, FSU hasn't had 4 straight losing seasons. Well, that's true,
but Auburn hasn't had a 2-win season either.
Right, where it's just 3 totally falling apart. Yeah, and like still Auburn was competitive in all their games. Like I just don't think that makes sense logically or consistently. And then just, I mean, you mentioned Denarius Gray. The threat of losing him to Kentucky seems likely.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is a football player. He's not a basketball player. And we're talking about Auburn losing him to Kentucky.
They can't throw the ball. Period.
And
they're awful.
So to me,
I don't
know losing
losing
Tootle to Georgia is one thing, or, missing out on some of these guys that appear to be going to Alabama. That's another. And sure, that's fine. If you want to talk about those guys, like, it's probably a little bit of both. It's probably they're winning, and they've got everything in a row when it comes to money. I don't know how you can look at all of these things collectively, and not think there's something on the NIL front where Auburn isn't able to offer as much.
That's what it seems like. Whether it's by design, whether we think we're smarter than everybody else, and we know that something's coming down the road that's going to make a lot of these offers on the table void or not able to be executed. I mean, you did see something like that come out about FSU recently. Right. So I guess that's a possibility, but it's also hard to imagine that Auburn has just figured out this thing that nobody else knows about. I mean, you don't lose Denarius Gray to Kentucky unless it's money. I hate to say it. And
if it's truly down to those two, which is what reports say, is it's Auburn and Kentucky.
Yeah.
And that's another one where I don't think you can look at like coach security. I don't think you can look at, support, but like if an NIL situation is better playing for Kentucky football than Auburn, like that feels different than where we've been the last.
It's also the where do you view Denarius Gray? Is Denarius Gray your wide receiver number one? And is he Kentucky's wide receiver number one? And then do you have values on one versus the other? And maybe Kentucky's valued him a little bit higher. My response would be, hey, it doesn't matter if he's your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 on your board. You don't have any more committed. So de facto, he kind of becomes wide receiver number 1 until there's a threat that you're going to add, somebody else. So again, those guys are smart.
That was my thing, Kyle, when Auburn lost J. Mike, which seemed like that was mutual, and then lost Shadarius Tootle because they weren't willing to offer the same thing as Georgia, is kind of what the, hubbub is there. And like, who are you going to give the money to? Like to play linebacker? Like, what are we doing? Like, is the kid from Florida who's Goon,
they call him Goon, Adam.
Yeah. Goon Ali. I don't understand why, like, you're giving it all to him. That seems like a lot. It seems like a lot for one guy who's, rated lower than some of these dudes. So I'm with you. Like, okay, if Denarius Gray's not as high up on your board and he's higher up on Kentucky's, well, that's fine. But you just lost Evan Carter. It doesn't appear that you're going to get CD Morgan. I just don't understand like where, there was some momentum for Jace Matthews, and I haven't heard anything on that front. So like, I just don't know, like from a receiver standpoint, what do you do? Like, who do you want to pay then?
Now, I'm going to say this, okay? And I talked about this on my show yesterday, and this is not sunshine pumping. This is reality, okay? Last year,
hold on, let's touch on the reality in just a second.
Okay.
Not sunshine pumping, just the reality next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Can you imagine wagering anywhere other than with our friends at FanDuel?
Can't do it, won't do it.
Won't do it.
Nope.
Won't do it. Hey, Auburn, a 2.5-point favorite on the road in Waco to start off the season at Baylor. Or still at 7.5 win total. Everybody saying, hey, we're going to win 8, 9, 10 games. It's going to turn the recruiting around. You may be right. And if that's the case, put your money where your mouth is. You might as well make some money while you're being right. You know what I'm saying? You smell what I'm stepping in.
Oh,
hey, if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5. You get $150 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Not sunshine pumping, but reality is what, Kyle Rush?
I think there could not be a better case study to look at than Florida when you look at Auburn going into their third season. Last year was their third season, and up until the second week in November, they had 12 total commitments, and they were around like 40th or 50th in the country. They finished with 27 commits after winning their last 4 games in a row, 2 against ranked teams. The Florida alumni put it out there. They're not firing him. They're circling the wagons behind him, and they went on a tear. They ended up with 27 commits in the top 10 in a top 10 class. So there is something to the fact of, hey, if you win, it could build some hype. So I'm kind of wondering, if you win, does it also bring in more revenue? Like, does it make people want to? Could that be some of the issues we're seeing where maybe Auburn's not quite? They spent a ton of money in the portal. Are they a little bit behind right now? And then the people that have been giving, are they sort of in a wait and see mode? Like, I don't know, but I do know you have an example of a team in the same conference that skyrocketed after they opened the season 4-4, or I'm sorry, they opened the season 3-5, and won their last 4 or 5 games, and finished 8-5. So it's not like they were lighting it up from beginning to end. Like they had a hot streak there towards the end, and then they gained over half of their class in less than 1 month. So there is a case study for it. And Auburn competes for a lot of those guys, and Florida's going to have a really tough schedule this year. Auburn's got a very manageable schedule. So could you see something along those lines? And I think Auburn's roster is better going into year 3 than Florida's was going into year 3. So again,
I agree with that. And easier schedule.
Yeah, there's something there. There could be something there, and you at least got something you can point to say, hey, it worked here. Why can't it work for Auburn?
Yeah. So while the hey, if you win, it takes care of itself thing is correct, it's not because of the winning. It's probably because of the money that could come with it.
Yeah.
And look, if I was a major donor giving millions of dollars a year to this roster, and they weren't good, like I would have pause. Right. Here's my question about some of this, and I don't think we'll know the answer to this, but just the way I think about it is the amount of money that you're about to have coming off the books at the end of this season seems to be pretty tremendous. I mean, that first big class that included a lot of flips, a lot of those guys are about to go to the league. Like, I'd be shocked if Keldrick was not commanding a big chunk of the payroll, as he should.
Kayan Lee almost transferred like 5 times already. So,
he's gotten several raises. I don't know if he goes to the NFL after this year or not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But like Connor Liu, I think it's more likely that he's in the league next year, not at Auburn. Keldrick, Eric Singleton, I think, is a part of that conversation. Xavier Chaplin, Mason Murphy. So, like, where's that money going? Like, do you have enough just for them and you don't have that like recurring? Because then that's a problem, like systematically, in my opinion. Like if big money comes off your books and you can't put that money somewhere else, that to me is a big question of like, what are we doing incorrectly?
Sure. And all this is speculation, but
100%.
It does.
But it's like, if you don't, we're just basing all of this speculation off of the assumption, because it's the only one that makes sense. I think we just laid that out, is like, it seems like Auburn is behind in the NIL battle.
Well, Ernest Rankings, that's a very good example. Ernest Rankings Auburn doesn't have a ton of defensive line prospects in the hopper right now. You're talking about Hezekiah Harris possibly going elsewhere. So Ernest Rankings, in my opinion, should be way high up the list. And I think now Jeffrey Lee from On3, Auburn's 50-50 battle. He says, hey, Florida State has a higher offer on the table.
Unbelievable.
So that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to go to Florida State, but and I know you don't want to have the highest offer until the end. You want to be the last highest offer, not the highest offer like 3 or 4 days out from commitment. You want to be the last final offer, and you can always up it right there at the end. But it's just this theme you're seeing is just a little bit concerning on the front end. Again, I understand. I'm not saying it's malignant and can't be fixed, but it's also kind of the theme of Auburn too, that if there's any kind of dysfunction in that whole vicinity, and I'm not saying NIL and On to Victory and all those guys. I'm more so talking about, the booster aspect of it, where it's like there just always seems to be, dysfunction on that side. So maybe we're just overthinking it, and it's literally just, hey, we can be patient. We've got the roster kind of set for a couple of years. We're going to be good this year. We can be patient, and we don't have to have a big class, and let's just see how things play out. And we don't have to overpay right now.
Yeah. I mean, you won't feel it right away. If, Auburn has an awful class, you'll feel it in 2 years, 3 years. And we got to get to that point first. You got to hope that you're good this year, but it's just so it's just crazy how different it is from a recruiting front, to where there's got to be something that changed.
You get a 4-star commit from a quarterback, a top 200 player, and you still don't gain really any ground. You feel like you don't really gain any ground, and you don't really see a lot of momentum from it. Now, hopefully you pick up a commitment on the 4th of July, like you typically do every year. Not 100% sure who that is. There's a tight end out of Georgia that everybody he's a project. It's not like it's a ready-made 4 or 5-star guy, but you pick one up there, maybe you pick up Goon on the weekend.
Yeah, Adam. Yeah.
And
Wilkes is kind of like lingering up there, like what happens with him.
And then you still got Ernest Rankings out there. So you get some of those and you can point to we're moving in the right direction. You don't have to have a ton of kids in this class. If you can get somewhere in that 16 to 18 range at the end of the day, I think you're probably going to be all right, as long as they're obviously really good. I mean, they're some of your better players.
Yeah, I just –
how do you get outbid by Nebraska for Claude and Puma? That's what I struggle there. Like, that's something that I struggle with. And
I'm with you. And I haven't talked much about him. I don't know why. I just haven't.
You're feeling good about him, and then all of a sudden, right, like out of the blue, you just don't.
Why is Wilson Zaire not committed yet?
That's a group. Why isn't Jaquez Wilkes not committed yet? Yeah. I feel like he will. But the longer it goes, the less confident you feel. But
I mean, there are so many guys that we felt were close, right? I mean, we talked about Tank Jones for a while. We talked about C.D. Morgan for a while. We talked about, how good Auburn was with Jaira Edwards, and they're all going to go to your rival. So, like, it's brutal. It's brutal to see this entire class of these guys that you've hosted time and time and time again. And, they're – here's the teams you play every year.
Here's something to think about. Like, and this is nightmare scenario, but as good as you were in state in the top 10 last year, I mean, there's a reality you may not get any of them in this class.
If you lose Hezekiah
and you don't get Jaquez Wilkes, you're shut out.
Those are your two guys that are most likely, right?
Yeah, you're shut out. Now, it's also completely out. It's completely possible you get Tootle back. I mean, I don't think they're going to stop recruiting him. It's very possible that could happen. And then there's some other guys you can make.
Unless they get a slew of linebackers, which I don't see that happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think C.D. Morgan is off the table like down the road, especially if Auburn puts up a good offensive showing this year and has some success. So, like,
my issue with CD is, like, I don't even know if we're second anymore. I was told we weren't even second anymore.
Yeah, well, that's right now. Again,
I got you.
Again, what were we talking about? We're talking about money.
You're right.
And maybe right now, currently, we're either A, don't have it, or we're playing the long game. We're being very patient.
Yeah.
So
very patient.
Extremely patient. Painfully
the most patient.
So patient. Like,
that's it. We just have so much discipline on our staff that it's like, you know what? The patience is there. We're fine. Yeah. We're fine.
And I do again.
And that's sarcasm. Like, that's sarcasm.
I'm sort of like, I have ebbs and flows as far as how I feel about it, but it does feel different. But I don't think it's anything that can't be fixed. And now, what that is that fixes it. Is it winning? Is it just I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't feel like it's something malignant. It's definitely not effort. It's definitely not effort. And,
I agree with that.
And so from there, maybe it is. Maybe you just win a few games and it just rocks and rolls.
Yeah.
You can point to Florida and say we're in a better position than Florida going into year 3, and look what they did. We can do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, they had a star in DJ Lagway. Is our star able to, like, totally change the perception of your team? I don't think ours is quarterback. I think ours is Cam Coleman. Like, can he be so good that it changes how everyone thinks about your coach and your program? And I don't even know if DJ Lagway is deserving of that. Like, statistically, like, a lot of his stats came against, like, Sanford or whatever. But, like, I like DJ Lagway, but, like, the aura around it, like, you need a guy like that. And I think Cam can do it. It's just, you need help, with Jackson, and, can Singleton help out, and Malcolm. Like, you need a catalyst to help get you out of this stuff. And I think those guys are on the roster.
I do too. I've said this multiple times. I think you can't really point to anything if it doesn't work out other than just purely coaching and development, because the roster looks as good as any Auburn roster that I can think of going back to maybe 2017.
Yeah, and if quarterback play stinks and we want to blame it on quarterback play, like, okay, you've struck out on quarterback decisions every year you've been here, if that's the case.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really know.
You have to have a tough question. Tough questions have to be answered on either evaluation or development. They've got to be answered.
Yep.
If it doesn't work out this time.
Yep.
I hate we kind of painted such a bleak picture.
I really just wanted to bug a little bit about
I like again. I think you should be happy about him. He's the most perfect quarterback for the situation that you could possibly ever add.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know who he was at first, and it's like, oh, he's a guy who's probably not expecting to play right away. Oh, okay. Oh, he has tremendous athleticism and upside. Okay.
Oh, he can run a 4.4. Okay.
Yeah,
I like all that too.
Yeah, cool.
He can throw it 60, 70 yards. Love that too.
Like, but his throwing motion's not perfect, and it might take him 2 or 3 years to like get to the P4 level. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Perfect. That's exactly what we need.
A guy who can back up deuce. Great. Perfect.
100%. Just got to keep that. Can't be it. You got to keep going.
So, yeah, I thought that would be a spark, and it hasn't been. Sadly.
Please commit Jacquez Willis if you're listening.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Need you badly.
That'd be great. And any of the commits that are listening, just please stay committed. All right, who would you take to SEC Media Days? What a pivot! That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. I don't want this to sound dramatic. I don't.
Okay.
Because we've been dramatic all day so far.
Yeah.
Some people listen to us first thing in the morning. I'm like, I'm sorry we're being so negative. It's Kyle's fault. I wanted to book this morning. And then talk about Darius Gray for a second and Hezekiah Harris. But you're like, no, we're not booking today.
It took a turn.
That's fine. That's fine. I respect you
quickly.
So much. When it comes to SEC Media Days, I think Hugh Freeze has to take Jackson Arnold to represent Auburn.
See, that one's tough for me because Oklahoma took him last year. I don't know. I don't know that you can.
I think that makes it look worse. If another school will take your quarterback, but you won't take him, I think that's an argument. Like,
no, I think it's because the reason is I think it's more of a protection than anything. Hugh has said, and this may be weak on my part, and if it is, whatever. But Hugh has said, the last thing we want to do every time we come off practice, we want to leave with our quarterbacks feeling confident. I mean, he'd get ripped to shreds. I think everybody's going to ask him question after question about his performance last year, and I just don't know.
Do you know everything they would say? I think it'd be way worse. I would be asked for, but I'll do 20 to 30 interviews that week for other markets. Yeah. And I will be asked in every single one of them, why didn't they take Jackson Arnold? In every single one of them, if they didn't bring him.
Yeah, but that to me, it's a pretty easy answer. He just went last year. We're trying to keep him out of the meat.
I don't know, man. I think you have to take him. I think you have to signify. I mean, you talk about confidence. Like, this is our dude. I think it's a little similar to what they did with Keldrick last year. Of like, okay, this doesn't fully make sense, but we believe in him so much. It paid off. Keldrick was good because he's good, not because he went to SEC Media Days. But as far as like putting the attention on him to say like, we are going to go where you take us. He did that on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. On the offensive side of the ball, they took Peyton because he's the quarterback. You got to take your quarterback if you have a dude. I believe that.
Yeah, if he wouldn't have gone last year, I think it's a foregone conclusion. And maybe you're right, but I don't know. I may keep him out of the media as much as possible and limit any interaction.
Who is your must take to Media Days?
You got to take Cam Coleman, I think. No matter what. You got to take Cam Coleman. You got to take I want Keldrick Faulk to go back because I always want him coming off the bus first. And the third one
take him twice. I wonder if they would take Keldrick 2 years in a row.
And the third one is the one I've been struggling with because
he said in the past that he always feels like he needs to take an offensive lineman. And so my thought process is like, okay, that offensive lineman I would assume is Connor Lew.
It's got to be.
Yeah. And then I think there's an argument to be made for Jeremiah Wright, but I think it's Connor Lew. And then I think they're taking Jackson. And it's like, you can't take 3 offensive players. So like then in that situation, you couldn't take Cam Coleman. That's my thought process.
Yeah, I think you got to take Cam. I think you got to take Cam way more than you got to take Jackson, in my opinion.
Maybe so. Maybe so. That's a great argument. It's a great point.
I want the blockbuster, the preseason all SEC, the only first team preseason all SEC player that you had. I guess that's according to Phil Steele. Like, I guess there's 1,000.
He only had Cam Coleman.
I think Phil Steele only had him.
He didn't have Keldrick?
Keldrick was third team on his list.
That's crazy.
I think he was first on Athlon, but Phil Steele, he was third team.
The Athletic has Keldrick as the 6th best player in the conference.
Yeah, I think he was third team. I'm pretty sure. Auburn put out a graphic about it. I broke things when I saw it.
That's wild. I missed that.
Pretty sure. I can't even believe Auburn I can't even believe they put that out, to be honest.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, but it's I'm looking at it right now. Hold on. I'll tell you in just a second. I'm almost 1,000% sure it was third team.
Do you remember the graphic they put out when it was under Harsin? I think it was under Harsin's first year because it was Bobo. Bobo was the OC. And they put out the graphic of all the players that they put into the NFL, and it was like all Georgia players.
Well, how so? How are they all Georgia players?
Because all.
Oh, yeah. I do remember. It's like AJ Green.
An Auburn graphic, touting all of these guys that whooped us for forever. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so third team, Phil Steele, preseason All SEC, Connor Lew and Keldrick Falk, third team.
Connor Lew was third team as well?
Yeah.
Is it ranked by center or by offensive lineman? It doesn't matter. Either way, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it just
because then at that point you're saying there's 10 offensive linemen better than him. That's just not true either.
Or just, I guess, if you're breaking it up as he's the third center, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean that's still crazy. Who are the 2 above him? I'd love to know.
Yeah,
I'd love to know.
But I don't know. I think you got to take
Still thing. I'll do a full show on this at some point. I don't have the magazine yet. I've only seen stuff. Whenever our Books Million gets it, I'll read it. But because we don't have a Barnes and Noble here yet. What's up with that? Auburn Opelika is growing so much, but we can't get a Barnes and Noble.
What's that bookstore in Tigertown?
Books a Million.
Okay. What's the difference?
There's a lot.
Really?
It's a lot.
Is it the coffee bar is different?
It's certainly not as good at Books a Million.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
That's an aspect of it.
Sure. I will confess that I don't go in there often.
Sure. I go in there all the time.
As whatever. Ever. I never go in.
Have you ever been in there before?
Maybe once or twice.
What's the last book you've read?
I don't know that I could tell you that.
Got it. Sweet.
I don't know. I legitimately
I don't know. I don't mean this to sound bad, but I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, I'm not a book guy.
That's okay.
I tell you what, it was a dog man book I've read with my son. That's probably
one of those. You read tons of books with your kids. That's right.
We read books every night before we go to sleep.
But yeah, I'll do a full show on Phil Steele stuff later once I get it. I want to read it. And I don't want to just see the numbers, but he really values returning production.
It's part of his little calculation. His
it's not a little calculation. I mean, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, his algorithm.
I don't think he's really adjusted to this is the case the last 2 years. I haven't looked at it this year, but he doesn't seem to adjust for transfer portal yet. And so all of the success that Singleton had, I don't think Auburn's going to get credit for it in his rankings. So he had Baylor 13th, I think, and he didn't have us in his top 40, but he values returning production. I don't know. It's kind of an odd thing that I've got to really wrap my brain around.
We don't have to wrap our brain around it. It's the way his algorithm works. He's a big computer guy. He's a big analytical guy.
Yeah. It's I don't think he that's updated.
He hasn't updated it yet.
Yeah. But I think he was high on Colorado though. And their whole team was support. So I don't know. Whatever.
I want to go ahead on record and apologize for today's show. I'm sorry for not booging.
All right,
over the quarterback. I'm excited about him. I am excited about him. I'm just a little bit concerned.
Yeah. All right.
All I can say.
All right. How can people check out everything you've got going on?
Yeah, sub to thebarnauburn.com. We'll keep you updated on all the recruiting updates or lack thereof, and then team stuff as it gets closer. Just jump in the conversation in general, and then you can subscribe to the Barn Auburn YouTube page where you can catch all our content.
Yep. Hey, please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.